Hello and welcome. After we finished our little discussion on the musing on Monday, um, the conversation carried on um, to look at whether or not we were talking about miniatures, if you remember. Anyway, we carried on debating the subject about whether you actually needed miniatures at all. So I let the cameras run, and this is sort of a continuation of the Muse, but about the use of miniatures, whether or not we need them or not. So, without further ado, let's continue. So, why use miniatures in the first place? Why are you
Why
so
use miniatures?
why are you so obsessed, right, with having to have miniatures for wargaming? I'm talking what I mean, like figures. What what what's the
Miniatures.
thing about it with you? Why?
Because, firstly, I can sit here and make them up.
Yeah.
Secondly, I can sit here and ruin them by painting them. And then I can put them onto a gaming table, hopefully with a bit of terrain, but I don't normally get that far because I revert back to making miniatures again. But then you can put the miniatures on the table with terrain and have a really nice story themed battle or skirmish, and you can, I don't know, it just pulls your mind into the game. Even when you're playing D&D, people are now, or have always used a figure to represent their character and to immerse themselves more in the game they're playing.
So
That's
it's
why I
just
think it's
so from your point of view, it's just an immersive experience. It's not actually
yeah,
required.
yeah, not actually required at all. No.
No. See, my view is like, I mean, obviously I got miniatures, yeah, because I've got since I lost everything in 2008, I built up yet another massive massive pile of miniatures. A good 90% of which are not painted. Do you know what I mean? Because I just don't have
Mm.
time in my life to paint all the miniatures that I buy or have bought. Through what you remember we were talking the other day about getting miniatures for games because that's what you were sort of pumped into doing because the rules
Yeah, yeah,
required the miniatures, right? And
yeah.
I've given up on that idea completely now. But the point is, right? We buy all these miniatures and we never paint them. Well, you
Mm.
may be the exception. But then again, you don't paint
Well,
armies, do you?
I don't paint armies. I'm good at painting a load of miniature ships, but not very good at painting armies. Where you've in the past had, you like to paint your armies, where I
I
will
like to
paint
paint
more
armies.
skirmish factions.
Yeah. My point is, right, and I'm getting to a point now where I really can't be bothered with painting armies and miniatures. Maybe it's because I've had such a long time since I've not been able to that I'm not. I've sort of broken the cycle, as it were. Who knows?
Mm.
When the cellar gets repaired, I may end up being, you know, back again when I've got enough space to spread out and everything. And I might go, oh yeah. But I've made the decision that all of this stuff behind me is going. I'm getting rid of all the miniatures that I've got. Not all of them. I mean, I'm keeping some because some I don't want to lose. But generally, I don't wargame with other people anymore. I play on my own, and I'm being more and more drawn towards abstract games. Like I like Commands and Colors, but I mean, I've got Samurai that you bought me, which is a figures game, and I've got my 10 mil that I can use if I want to make a thematic board. But I can quite easily just play the board without the block, with just the blocks, because there's that
Yeah.
because the game, like Ancients, Command and Color Ancients, has got so many different armies. There's no way that you could possibly paint every single army. Do you know what I mean? So
Mm.
you may as well just use the blocks. So
Yeah.
I don't feel as though I need to start back army painting anymore. Even Napoleonics, you can block plane. In fact, my I think from from my experience now of commands and colours, is I find it more enjoyable just using the blocks
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the scale of the game just changes completely because you can represent, you've got your blocks and they're representing hundreds of troops. So you can have battlefields with thousands and thousands of troops.
that is true with the Napoleonics because I saw Karen with does kits. She had that table in her room, and it was I don't know 6 foot by so and so, and she couldn't get all of her miniatures on the table. She's had to go into the other room and get a bigger table, which what we've not seen yet on video, to get all the miniatures on. So I know what you're saying. It's nicer to play huge battles on a with your wooden blocks and literally play it on your coffee table.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do the same with Impetus. I mean, the Impetus armies. I got a video about it years ago, making the little block thing. Well, not blocks, they're like bases, and then print out something and glue it on for a particular troop type, and just use those. The base sizes are the same as in the game. Like if you were playing, 15mm or 28mm, you can use the base sizes, but it just means that it's cheaper, but I still get exactly the same effect, as it were, of the the, the tactical
Yeah, the
game.
tactical side.
I'm not
Not as
that.
pretty to look at, but it's still there as the game. It's still there as something you can focus your mind on and move troops around and try and conquer the opposition. Yeah, there is that.
But
So you do sacrifice a little bit of the battlefield look, but you can't have it all, can you?
I remember a comment I got a few years ago about some Napoleonic British, right? The guy was basically saying that me troop numbers were wrong in the unit. There was
No, right.
this, and this, and that, and that's because I was using miniatures. Do you know what I mean? And I tried to get across this guy. I said, well, the point is, it's not about it's not one-to-one scale, is
Mm.
it? The rules of the unit assume that the troop mix is correct. It's about grenadiers, but that and at different scales, the rules require, all the rules take into account the company strength or the battalion strength
That's
or
right.
the corps strength or whatever. Yeah, and if you try, once you start to get into putting like proxies for that in the form of miniatures, then you get all these other people going, but that this unit had this particular person in it. This unit had, one corporal and this, that, and the other. Okay, yeah, it probably did, but we're playing an abstract game because at the end of the day, a war game on a table is not a realistic representation of anything other than an abstract set of rules that is simulating reality.
You could almost really, really simplify it completely by
How?
saying you just play drafts.
Yes, but that's not fun, is it? Drafts. I mean, that's a bit extreme. I mean, chess
It's
or
chess. Well, yes,
backgammon or
tactical.
any of these combat driven games from the past. Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff
Mm,
developed out of that. I understand that. But when we're actually trying to represent specific battles in history,
mm. Yeah, it's fairly hard.
yeah, if you can't possibly have, or if you have, I mean, there are people whom I admire greatly from various periods. I mean, like Paul, his Napoleonic armies are amazing. Do you know what I mean? And I can understand why, you'd want to see all of that spread out on a table, 15mm, and he has troop types from, troops of, I mean, he's one of the few people I know that have got a Napoleonic Spanish army, for example. Do you know what I mean? So it's sort
Yeah.
of like, yeah, he can represent all the troops in the campaign. Same with VK. He's got so many different types of troops painted over the years, he can represent everything in miniatures as well on the table. Plus, I think
Yeah,
they're also in clubs as well, so they've got that advantage of they can fight any period because at least one member of the club will have that army probably. But as somebody like me or you who are very isolated, we can't hope to have all those miniatures, can we?
no,
Yeah,
no.
I mean, I'm
And
not.
another downside. Go on, carry on.
No, 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 no. Well,
I was going to say another downside is the initial setup of a big battle using miniatures over counters and X's.
yeah, but
Like the amount of setup time for to put all them miniatures out would be probably, I don't know, a couple of hours.
oh,
Because
I, I think the setup time is probably faster with miniatures than it is with sort of like some of these counter and hex games,
oh right,
hex and counter games, because the setup can take quite a while as well. Its setup is not that.
yeah,
It's just I think it's just the representation and the that's what appeals to me now.
yeah,
The other advantage in my mind is the fact that the cubic capacity of the game itself is a lot smaller
oh
because
yeah,
it's the size of the box. Whereas
yeah.
with miniatures, I mean, I have so many miniatures boxes. I don't have enough shelving to put all of these miniatures up.
Storage.
Even
Yeah, I suppose
even
that's
even
another big
even the
thing.
ten
Yeah,
percent of the 90% of crap that I've got sitting back there that I've actually got painted, I don't have enough shelving to put it up.
yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So if you box of like the Roman Empire war in Europe, it's literally a box like that where you can play that for hours and hours, many battles. But if you're going to play, say like VK's got used to have all them Vikings, didn't he?
Yeah,
Which would probably take up a whole shelving unit alone.
but that's it. Miniature storage is expensive, not just in the price of the storage of the whatever. It's just the real estate cost in your home is phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, look at
Claire
you.
did actually say to me the other day. She said I was moaning at you lot all having your nice little areas where you can paint. Your man caves. You've got your basement. There's other various people who've got a whole room, a whole cabin. They're very lucky people, and I'm very jealous. But she said, "Don't be stupid. You've got a whole shop where you can paint." I went, "Oh yeah, I have actually." And I've got a whole back room full of stuff, basically ice cream tubs with miniatures in. But yeah, so I can't complain. I am as bad as you lot, I suppose. Yeah,
Yeah, you're worse
I'm worse.
because you just keep buying and buying, and you impulse buy, and that's the other thing with miniatures as well. Your
Yeah.
problem is the fact that you cannot resist, as we were talking about before, with the what's it called again? I can't even remember what its name. There's
Silver
something
band.
silver blade. You cannot
Silver band.
resist. You cannot
Yeah.
resist a bit of eye candy,
I
and
know.
you
I
see
mean,
that and you're off.
My
Hmm?
mate Steve yesterday, he sent me, not yesterday, a couple of days ago, he sent me a little picture of, because I'm into Gothic horror and all that. He sent me it was called The Witch Cottage for completely another game that I do know about and I am tempted, called Destinies, but that's another subject. And he said, "You're going to love this miniature." And I thought, "Oh, God, don't show me things like that." It was like a proper monstrous cottage on legs, sort of attacking someone in the woods. And I thought, "Oh, yeah, that'd be nice." But yeah, yeah, I am a bit of a fish bait. I'm terrible.
Yeah, you are. And I think this is another thing with miniatures as well is that people get addicted to the eye candy and the whole idea of how amazing they're going to look when they're finished, and they just keep buying and buying
Especially,
and buying.
especially the latest craze.
Yes.
Like when typical example in December when Lord of the Rings comes out, the new box game.
Mhm.
There'll be hundreds of videos on YouTube with unboxings and paint ups and paint offs. But I mean, I think that's a good thing in a way. But yeah, it's like the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and it will never stop.
Why can't you use the Lord of the Rings miniatures that you've already got in the new game?
Yeah. Well,
Because it's
I'm
only a
lucky
rule
there because
book.
I'm not. I know, but I'm lucky there. I'm not a big. I love Lord of the Rings, but I'm not a big. My son's a massive fan, and he would probably get into it. But I've had my little Lord of the Rings little bit, so that's done for now. But I mean, the big thing for me next would, if anything's going to come out that I'm going to be super excited about, would be Battlefleet Gothic, which I will definitely buy without even thinking about. And then I will be sucked into buying, because I know there's probably 3D prints out there that you. I mean, I know I could go on YouTube now and buy a really cool ship for 20 quid, but I'll be just buying the official boxes.
I can understand that to a degree, simply because that's. I think when we were talking before on the musing, specific miniatures like Battlefleet Gothic, like your dystopian war ships and whatever, they're things that you can't proxy for other stuff and are only made for that particular game.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? So that's fine. I don't see any issue with people. Well, it's not up to me to whether I see issue or not. What I'm saying is, it would not bother me to buy those miniatures. But the point I was making in the other vid in the musing was the fact that you're buying this game, and I mean, I know you'll never play it, but the point is, you're buying this game, or you're buying into this game that in effect is just a book with some rules in, and you already have all the miniatures that you would ever need to play that already. Yet you're going to go out and buy more miniatures that you don't need because you've already got them.
I always need new miniatures.
No, but this is the thing. But that's not what we're talking about now. I think we covered that one off. Yeah, but the point but I personally now don't feel the need to go out and buy miniatures to play war games, because I can play war games, or I can get the same gameplay out of token based, sort of not token based. I can play Hail Caesar without miniatures. I don't need miniatures to play Hail Caesar. I don't need miniatures to play Black Plowder. I don't need miniatures to play what's the other one? Bolt Action. I don't even need it to play 40k if I don't want to. I can use counters to represent the troops. I don't need the miniatures. I can abstract the game down even further. I understand that the table doesn't look as thematic, but
that's the sacrifice.
It is the sacrifice, but there is no requirement that you actually use miniatures.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Yet there's this entire drive all the time. You must have these miniatures. You must have these miniatures. You must. You must. You must. And people, especially at the moment with the way the world economy is, people are just going, buying it. I can't afford it, but I'm going to buy it. And I think that's bad in a way, because the other thing as well is you get a lot of people that can't afford the hobby, yet they're buying the stuff because it's rammed down the throats that you have to buy the miniatures to play the game. You have to use miniatures to play the game, and and it's this. I don't know why, but I'm not knocking miniatures at all. In as much that miniatures are, miniature painting and all that side of the hobby is very rewarding, and I enjoy it. And even though I say that I'm not going to be buying miniatures, I will still carry on with my 10mm stuff. It's just simply for command and colours.
Yeah.
And for impetus. Do you know what I mean? Because I like the look of the table. Yet the difference in that is the fact that I can use impetus is just a rule set. Command and Colours is a block game system that you can adapt to play with miniatures, and I can buy any miniatures I want. Do you know what I mean? I can use Pendraken, I can use Cromarty or whatever. It doesn't matter as long as I've got the little blobby people on it. It doesn't make any difference. And some are red, some are blue, some are green. You know what I mean? It makes a difference. That
you're saying little blobby things. I was thinking of Smurfs.
Well, you know what I mean, like 10mm, 6mm, little blobby pieces. I mean, you could even go as daft as 2mm.
Game with Smurfs.
Well, whatever. But yeah, I don't think you need miniatures to play war games, and it doesn't matter what the war game is. You don't need miniatures to play it. If you want to use miniatures, then fine.
Yeah.
But it's this obsession with you must, you must, you must, you must. You don't
Yeah,
need
I
miniatures.
agree. I have to agree with you there. There is an obsession with the miniature side, but there always will be.
I think the reason is, I mean, and it's because games manufacturers will only sell a set of rules once.
Then they
So
trigger.
yeah, and once you've sold your 50 quid rule book, if you don't have anything else on it, how are you going to make any more money? So they pump out these miniatures at you, right? And they make you buy them because that's what gives them their profit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the gateway drug. Now here's the drugs, the real stuff that we're going to strip you dry with.
Well, you make me sound like I'm an alcoholic.
No, no, it's just. I mean, look at my channel.
I know. Yeah,
Crack,
yeah.
plastic crack addict support group. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
It is that, and it's purely this addiction to buying and miniatures.
it is.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have boxes and boxes and
I
boxes
know.
full of crap.
And I think the worst thing for me ever to have done was take on Games Workshop was there's boxes of plastic just sitting over there going, "Open me, paint me,"
Mm,
whispering into my ear. But I've done well so far. But then I did take this off the shelf the other day.
yeah, you're mad.
I'm trying to keep it in its box, and at some point I might actually take it back to the shelf and put it
Are
back
you?
on the shelf.
I reckon that you'll only sell one of those Lord of the Rings things as well.
No, I can seriously say I will not have any of them. I will sell them to anyone that would like to buy one. Even if it's my son, I'll make him pay top dollar.
Oh,
No,
by the
we'll
way,
see.
I, I think I
What?
think I think this has gone on long enough. I haven't stopped recording yet, so we're going to put this out.
Yeah, fine, fine. Oh, God.
So, people, this is what he's like in reality.
So I'm shaking the paint bottle.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
really. There you go then. That's that. Hopefully, you found that interesting, if not entertaining. But let us know in the comments what you think, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.